Well, hello there. How you doing? I'm back again. This show's going to be a little bit about a little bit of everything, I think. Was just going to be NSA, but I think I may have a couple other things too. So, what I want to play is this is Jonathan Turley before Congress, and he was a NSA lawyer. And so, this is in January 2006. So this NSA thing has been going around for a long time. And you'll probably notice that, this was Bush's time, and Obama's Bush. Just changed his color, I guess. So, let's listen to this.
President Bush has, for many years, asserted authority that is both absolute and, in my view, quite dangerous. In August 1st, 2002, there was the infamous torture memo that was put out by the Justice Department that stated, in significant part, that the president could indeed order government officials to violate federal law. In fact, that memo said that imposing a limitation on his ability to conduct exercises, or people to conduct exercises that would constitute torture, would be an unconstitutional infringement upon his inherent authority. Attorney General Alberto Gonzales, in his confirmation hearings, insisted that he was rejecting that memo. Although at the time we now know he was aware of an NSA operation that was based precisely on the same claim of authority. The president has also claimed authority in enemy combatant cases to unilaterally declare a citizen to be an enemy combatant, to strip him entirely of his constitutional rights, including the right of access to counsel in the courts. Then December 30th, just recently, 2005, the president signed the torture bill that was enacted by this body and by the Senate. When he did so, he used what was a signing reservation, a signing statement, where he reserved the right to violate that law if he considered it to be in the nation's interest. Now we know that there is an NSA operation based upon the same extreme theory of presidential power. The problem with these claims is that they're devoid of any limiting principles. They place this country on a slippery slope that inevitably leads to a maximum leader. Now, I read the document that was put out yesterday by the Department of Justice, and I have changed my written testimony to address that document. Frankly, what is most remarkable is not the sweeping claims of authority, but the conspicuous lack of authority to support those claims. The Supreme Court has rejected the very claims being made by the president with regards to the NSA operation. This operation falls under what Justice Jackson referred to as the lowest possible ebb in terms of executive authority. It is in direct contradiction of FISA. Now, I want to be absolutely clear. What the president ordered in this case was a crime. Now, we can debate whether he had a good or bad motivation, but it was a crime. The federal law makes it clear you cannot engage in this type of surveillance, in a domestic surveillance operation, without committing a crime, that you can go to jail for 5 years. Now, we can debate the wisdom of that. We can debate why the president may have done it. But in my view, the president committed a crime. And we have to deal with that as citizens. And unfortunately, you have to deal with that as members of Congress. It gives me no pleasure to say that. But it also strikes me as an alarming circumstance when the president...
Okay, I don't know why it cut off then, but that's all I got. Anyway, I'm going to read you a couple things here. The first one is a letter to your congressman. This is 2006 in January. It says, "Dear Congress member, just a friendly reminder that you swore oath to defend the Constitution. Dictator is a ruler who is unconstrained by law. Bush is asking Congress to officially announce that it is indeed above the law, that he is indeed above the law, in effect crowning him America's first dictator. Spying on Americans without warrant is expressly forbidden in the Constitution. Bush admitted to authorizing this unconstitutional act more than 30 times. This means Bush broke the law. There is no gray area here. Bush broke the law, period. What's worse is that Bush knows he's breaking the law, and then continued to lie about it. At his press conference on December 19th, when he claimed that he had this authority under the Constitution, an outright lie to America and on national television. Proof. During a series of campaign speeches in 2004, Bush talked about wiretaps and claimed that the court order was always used in cases of domestic spying. We know now that this is untrue. Bush deliberately lied to his supporters on a campaign trail. To all Bush supporters, he looked at you in the face and lied to you. But more importantly, this video, I don't have the video by the way, of Bush on a campaign trail proves that he knew it was against the law to spy on Americans without a warrant. And he did it anyway, as he lied to his followers. Bush also lied when he said that they were only monitoring international phone calls. The leak to a New York Times reporter exposed the fact that the NSA had tapped into the main arteries of America's telecommunications system, supposedly looking for patterns of terrorist activity. They were monitoring all phone calls and email traffic in America. Maybe they didn't authorize rogue agents to use a tool to identify dissenters, but they opened the door to such abuse and it take place. That is high crime worthy of impeachment. At this point, there is no need for an investigation. Zero. All evidence is in the public, and the president admitted to an impeachable offense on national television. This is your moment of truth. Are you loyal to Bush or to America? And if you do not hold Bush accountable, then you will have broken your own sworn oath, and someday you will be held accountable. Now, the strange thing is that was 2006. Now, this is 7 years later, and the same damn thing's happening. The only thing is Obama is being a little more up for it about it. He's still lying, but he's not lying about everything. So, then Senator Frank Church, who shared her dissent at hearings on the FBI's COINTELPRO operation, which spied upon and attempted to infiltrate and disrupt and discredit the peace movement, even Martin Luther King Jr. Senator Church regarding NSA spying. That capability at any time could be turned around on the American people, and no American would have any privacy left. Such as a capability to monitor everything, telephone conversations, telegrams, it doesn't matter. There would be no place to hide. If a dictator ever took over, the NSA could enable him to impose total tyranny, and there would be no way to fight back. I don't want to see this country ever go across the bridge, Senator Church said. I know the capacity that is there to make tyranny total in America. And we must see to it that this agency and all agencies that possess this technology operate within the law and under proper supervision, so that we never cross over that abyss. That is the abyss from which there is no return. Demand Congress to impeach Bush. Well, it's too late now. So, and now it's coming out again. I don't think many people remember that whistleblowers 7 years ago were saying the same thing that Snowden said. And want you to go to YouTube. You can get more out of YouTube than you can out of Google. And look up whistleblowers. And you will find that our country has been doing stuff since the Vietnam War that it's not supposed to. I am going to play a song called Dear Mr. President. Not sure who did it. Then after that, I'm going to play something I did about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years or 3 years ago. I don't know when I did it. And that is, our country is no longer ours. And then after that, I'm going to play a song that I wrote called Flush Down the Toilet. So, here we go.
Dear Mr. President, the world has gone astray. Brothers are dying, they won't live to see today.
Live to see another day though.
Was it all worth it? You had to lie to get your way.
Look at you. Look at this.
Blood thicker than water.
That's right.
What a price we had to pay.
Look at the price now.
Dear Mr. President, you and your friends, you all crooks.
Look at y'all. Look at this.
Selling out the poor man. The soldiers' lives are took.
Look at that now.
I can't see no difference from Mr. Hussein to Mr. Bush.
Look at this.
Death and deception. It's the brew the devil cooks.
Dear Mr. President, you had a vendetta. Get Saddam by any means and make mad cheddar. In 4 years you grow 600 million.
The Bush family.
Oil tycoons, they're worth billions. You even pissed on the public for the cash. You started a deadly war and hiked up the gas. That's cause your real paycheck comes from OPEC. Do the Bin Ladens also send endorsements?
K to the R to the S to the 1. My condolences to those that lost their son, maybe lost their daughter when they crossed them waters. Baby, I'm here for you. It's the new world order. Time's getting shorter while them crimes get longer. I'm hot in the sauna when I flow low on you. I'm in California, but I'm on every corner. KRS, Red, never say we never warned you. Conscious lyrics, it's time for a little bit. You hear how I'm spitting it? No one is innocent. East Coast suppression, yeah, the West Coast is living it. West Coast suppression, yeah, the East Coast is giving it. Every time we say that fast cash, we getting it. Every time we diss the future with our kids in it. Every time we push the fly rise, they slaving you. Soon we'll be rapping for Saudi Arabia.
Dear Mr. President, the world has gone astray. Brothers are dying, they won't live to see today. Was it all worth it? You had to lie to get your way. Blood's thicker than water. What a price we had to pay. Dear Mr. President, you and your friends, you all are crooks. Selling out the poor man. The soldiers' lives are took. I can't see no difference from Mr. Hussein to Mr. Bush. Death and deception, it's the brew the devil cooks.
I told
told y'all niggas it's a war outside, but these niggas don't listen to the missiles start to fly. America ain't nothing but the fantasy life, but the end soon come for that bullshit life. Hold up, before that come, I gotta get mine. This money is all that matters at the present time. Fuck a war in Iraq, I'm warned to survive right here in the hood, in these New York Times.
They got these dudes blowing up shit to no avail. Fuck that, I'd rather rot in jail. Show y'all better than I can tell. I ain't buying what them senators sell. While they passing them bills, we living in hell.
Two deadly suicide car bombs in the Iraqi capital this day. In one of those attacks, another soldier from Khartoum, Baghdad, an American soldier, has died.
War, we all enlisted, yeah. Business and pleasure. The next ex-pres don't know the difference. Strategic planning, my city's in panic. Propaganda spread, the truth's kept candid. When push comes to shove and shove to push, we in the same corner saying buck push. It's evidence, they'll remember the name. It's Fred Wreck, West Coast legends again.
World of hate, where they're out for blood. Don't cooperate, we'll just shoot you up. There's blood on all our hands. There's blood on all our hands. There's blood in the world the same, where they honor greed. Can no one win till they conquer need? There's blood on all our hands. There's blood on all our hands. There's blood on all.
I already got enough on my mind to be stressing, and now I can't even watch the news, it's depressing. I see them belling through Saddam's hood with Smith & Wessons and dropping all kind of bombs with aggression. Mama should stand my prayers for someone to hold you while I pour out some Louis for the fallen soldiers. Best to turn
I told y'all niggas it's a war outside, but these niggas don't listen to the missiles start to fly. America ain't nothing but the fantasy life, but the end soon come for that bullshit life. Hold up, before that come, I gotta get mine. This money is all that matters at the present time. Fuck a war in Iraq, I'm warned to survive right here in the hood, in these New York Times.
They got these dudes blowing up shit to no avail. Fuck that, I'd rather rot in jail. Show y'all better than I can tell. I ain't buying what them senators sell. While they passing them bills, we living in hell.
Two deadly suicide car bombs in the Iraqi capital this day. In one of those attacks, another soldier from Khartoum, Baghdad, an American soldier, has died.
War, we all enlisted, yeah. Business and pleasure. The next ex-pres don't know the difference. Strategic planning, my city's in panic. Propaganda spread, the truth's kept candid. When push comes to shove and shove to push, we in the same corner saying buck push. It's evidence, they'll remember the name. It's Fred Wreck, West Coast legends again.
World of hate, where they're out for blood. Don't cooperate, we'll just shoot you up. There's blood on all our hands. There's blood on all our hands. There's blood in the world the same, where they honor greed. Can no one win till they conquer need? There's blood on all our hands. There's blood on all our hands. There's blood on
I already got enough on my mind to be stressing, and now I can't even watch the news, it's depressing. I see them belling through Saddam's hood with Smith & Wessons and dropping all kind of bombs with aggression. Mama should stand my prayers for someone to hold you while I pour out some Louis for the fallen soldiers. Best to turn to the Lord, for he's the best to console you, and that's the realest thing Mac 10 ever told you. It didn't have nothing to do with no Damo and Crippin'. Them dudes lost their lives overseas pistol gripping, sending youngsters to Iraq to leave blood dripping, and wanna lock up all my homies for set tripping. It didn't have nothing to do with no Damo and Crippin'. Them dudes lost their lives overseas pistol gripping, sending youngsters to Iraq to leave blood dripping, and wanna lock up all my homies for set tripping.
Mr. President, I ain't hesitant. I fly this kite on behalf of every G affiliate in my resident. Blue collar taxpayers, any drinkers. I'm holding my nuts in the ghetto, giving you the middle finger. Fuck war. The years would have been ignored, but when it's time for war, that's the only time you fuck with the poor. Land of the free, but I don't see no sunshine. Just niggas and Latinos on the front line. United States, nah, United Snakes. Where they cast the black folks out and our votes don't count. But we still keep hope, try to vote. But like the Public Enemy logo, you keep niggas in the sniper scope. Make me throw my hands up and wonder how Bush getting power. All of a sudden go down the Twin Towers. Daddy must have passed the word down. I guess it's true what they say, gangsters make the world go round.
The only good Bush is the one you fucked last night. Not the one who sends your brothers off to war and fight. You have smoking mirrors for the blind eyes and deaf ears. How many more years we accept lies and cry tears? They sell fears to the masses just so they can justify all their fucked up actions. By elections, avoid any questions, give fake answers. America's cancer. The little puppet with tangled strings. I think you forgot the value of a human being. Maybe he never knew or never gave a shit, but he can send others off and do his bravery bit. Treating people like pawns for the checkmate with the campaign. Begging people, won't you please re-elect me? Get him out of here, you must learn. You're a fool if you want the fucker one more term. Get him out.
Dear Mr. President, the world has gone astray. Brothers are dying, they won't live to see today. Was it all worth it? You had to lie to get your way. Blood's thicker than water, what a price we had to pay. Dear Mr. President, you and your friends you all.
Okay, now I'm going to play Our Country Is No Longer Ours. I believe I did this. I don't know. It's about 16 minutes long. So we'll find out. And here we go. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry about that little screw up during Dear Mr. President.
Hi, my name's Lee Gaylord, also known as the Crazy Old Man, and this is the Crazy Old Man Network. And I'm going to talk about our country no longer being our country. The powers that be, the banks, oil companies, international corporations run our country now. If you notice, John McCain lost the election. Why did he lose the election? Well, you may think, well, because Obama was the best man for the job. That's what I thought. I voted for Obama and I gave him money. But he isn't what I thought he would be. If you notice, Palin became McCain's running mate. Palin had no experience at all that would help her as a vice president, and especially as president. She probably would have been the worst president in history if she became president. So then the bankers started a recession during the campaign. And that is why McCain lost. Look at McCain's concession speech. He looks happier than a pig in slop, because he didn't want the job anyway. The whole thing was set up by the bankers and the big money people. Now, when Obama was running, and like I say, I gave him money I couldn't afford, but I did anyway. And from what he was saying, that's how he was going to get his money, from the people, and it was going to be a people's campaign. But I bet you the bankers put in the money that he needed, probably through the Democratic Party. and he won the election. He was the best man for the job, but he isn't anymore. I really haven't seen a good president since I've been voting, and my first election was Nixon and Humphrey. We are losing our country. And our country has an empire mentality. They try to run other countries. And they're two-faced. They really condemn Iran and Libya for shooting at protesters. But not Bahrain, because Bahrain is an ally, and we have a big base there. Of course, that big base there is all the more reason for Bahrain to listen to us and for us to tell them, if you want to keep us there, let the people have more say in the government. And Yemen is also an ally of ours. The problem is that Arab countries are mostly run by dictators. It's not really their fault. You can't blame them. You can blame the United States, because I'm sure the United States has something to do with putting them in there. The United States has a habit of putting dictators in for legitimate governments. They did it 72 times. South America and Africa, Central America. And if in Haiti, they'd take elective governments out and put in dictators. That's one reason why other countries don't like the United States. The United States is the most powerful country in the world. And also the most hated country in the world. And it is also let me think of the word for it. I had it a little while ago. But our country harms more people than it helps. Because of them, thousands of Indonesians were killed. Because of our country, East Timor lost thousands of their people. It was taken over 7 hours after it gained independence by the Indonesian government. Just about everywhere we go, people die. And this has to stop. We are losing our country. And we need to get it back. Because if we don't, we are going to be going down the tubes. We're going to get flushed down the toilet. So, something has to be done. Here's what needs to happen. First of all, we need to get out of the wars that we're in. We need to get out of Afghanistan and Iraq immediately. We're going to be going down the tubes. We're going to get flushed down the toilet. So, something has to be done. Here's what needs to happen. First of all, we need to get out of the wars that we're in. We need to get out of Afghanistan and Iraq immediately. Just leave. After all, they want us to go. They don't want us there. But we want the oil in Iraq. We want the heroin in Afghanistan. So then what we need to do is cut the strings from Israel. You see, we're run by the bankers, oil companies, and other multinational companies, and Israel is also trying to run our country. And they're doing it. Palestine should have their country. The UN told Israel to get out, but the United States said they could stay. The United States is responsible for genocide against the Palestinians, plus genocide on many other places. The United States needs to get their nose out of all these other countries and let them make their own decisions. And if they go down, that's their fault, not ours. Now, if someone attacks them, then we may go in with the UN and try and put a stop to it. But it's the UN that should be the one to go in, not us as a country. We could give troops to the UN, and that would work. So what we need to do is get out of all the other countries' business. Let the people of the Middle East handle their problems. Stop giving Israel money so that they can wipe out the Arab countries. Because that's what they can do. They're more powerful than all the Arab countries combined. That's why some of them are allies of Israel, because they're afraid of Israel. So something has to be done. As far as Saudi Arabia goes, well, President Bush, he's got money in Saudi Arabia. But if there's a revolution in Saudi Arabia and the royalty goes and the people take over, they may just kick the United States out. They may just take all that oil, and they'd have a right to do it. Spread the wealth among the people. That's what needs to be done. So write your congressman. May not do any good, but write them anyway and tell them that you want us out of the war and out of other people's business. Write the president. Tell him the same thing. He may not listen to you, but if we get people together throughout the country and do what they did in Egypt, I bet you could get more people, though. Of course, we're a much bigger country and have more people in our country. But you could probably get over 1 million in Chicago, New York, and Detroit. You could probably get 1 million because of the suburbs. And we did have an event down here for our tricentennial, and 1 million people showed up. And I'm sure that you can find 1 million people nearby where you are that are willing to demonstrate. Because that's what it's going to take. Plus, it's going to take us helping people, financing people that will do things for us and not for the bigwigs. Because we are losing our country. In fact, we lost our country. And if we aren't careful, we're going to be flushed down the toilet. Meaning the poor, of course all the blacks, all the people of color, they'll get rid of. The ones that aren't flushed down the toilet will be turned into slaves. Get put into concentration camps that they already have set up. So please, do something. Talk to other people. Use the internet, like they did in Egypt. The internet is how Egypt got the people out when they came out. We can do that here. So how about it, folks? Let's not allow them to flush us down the toilet. Let's not allow them to use the plunger on us if we don't make it down. Let's make the bankers and the oil companies give the excess profits to the government. Let's have the bankers pay back what we gave them to make them richer. I want to thank you, and I hope some people get to acting now. And I hope you get on there and
where has all the freedom gone? Long time passing. Where has all the freedom gone? Flushed down the toilet, most of them, thanks to George Bush, thanks to Dick Cheney, thanks to the Zionists, and thanks to the wealthy. Where have the Twin Towers gone? Long time passing. Where have the Twin Towers gone? Flushed down the toilet, most all of them. Thanks to George Bush, thanks to Dick Cheney, thanks to the Zionists, and thanks to the wealthy. Where have the Iraqis gone? Long time passing. Where have the Iraqis gone? Flushed down the toilet, most of them. Thanks to George Bush, thanks to Dick Cheney, thanks to the Zionists, and thanks to the wealthy. Where have all the Palestinians gone? Long time passing. Where have the Palestinians gone? Flushed down the toilet, most of them. Thanks to George Bush, thanks to Dick Cheney, thanks to the Zionists, and thanks to the wealthy. Where have all the Afghans gone? Long time passing. Where have all the Afghans gone? Flushed down the toilet, most of them. Thanks to George Bush. Thanks to Dick Cheney. Thanks to the Zionists. Thanks to the wealthy. Where have all the poor gone? Long time passing. Where have all the poor gone? Flushed down the toilet, most of them. Thanks to George Bush. Thanks to Dick Cheney. Thanks to the Zionists. And thanks to the wealthy. Where has the United States gone? Long time passing. Where has the United States gone? Flushed down the toilet, all of it. Thanks to George Bush. Thanks to Dick Cheney. Thanks to the Zionists. And thanks to the wealthy. Where did the fascists come from? Long time passing. Where did the fascists come from? From the toilet, most of them. Thanks to George Bush. Thanks to Dick Cheney. Thanks to the Zionists. And thanks to the wealthy. What did Barack Obama do? Long time passing. What did Barack Obama do? Flush the toilet again. Thanks to George Bush. Thanks to Dick Cheney. Thanks to the Zionists. And thanks to the wealthy. I still say I should get an Emmy for that. Okay, I'm going to play a thing called Children of the Dust by John Pilger. And it's about the Palestinian children. But you also have to realize that the children are being killed by our country too. I would think that if the U.S. stopped giving money to Israel, that they could probably get Palestinians free. But the U.S. doesn't care. All the U.S. cares about is money. And we got to put a stop to that. We got to go back to the way it was actually in Nixon's time, when it was a crime for corporations to give money to political campaigns. It was considered bribery, and that's what it is. It's bribery. Simple as that. So I'm going to play the Children of the Dust, and then I'm going to play my closing song by the Bobettes, I Shot Mr. Lee, because that's what President Obama will probably do to me someday.
Children of the Dust. Link, John Pilger. Published 28th of May 2007. As the Israeli army attempts to imprison an entire nation, it is the youngest who suffer most. Half of all Palestinians killed in the past 6 years are children. Israel is destroying any notion of a state of Palestine and is being allowed to imprison an entire nation. That is clear from the latest attacks on Gaza, whose suffering has become a metaphor for the tragedy imposed on the peoples of the Middle East and beyond. These attacks, reported on Channel 4 News, were targeting key militants of Hamas and the Hamas infrastructure. The BBC described a clash between the same militants and Israeli F-16 aircraft. Consider one such clash. The militant's car was blown to pieces by a missile from a fighter bomber. Who were these militants? In my experience, all the people of Gaza are militant in their resistance to their jailer and tormentor. As for the Hamas infrastructure, this was the headquarters of the party that won last year's democratic elections in Palestine. To report that would give the wrong impression. It would suggest that the people in the car and all the others over the years, the babies and the elderly who have also clashed with fighter bombers, were victims of a monstrous injustice. It would suggest the truth. Some say, said the Channel 4 reporter, that Hamas has courted this attack. Perhaps he was referring to the rockets fired at Israel from within the prison of Gaza which killed no one. Under international law, an occupied people has the right to use arms against the occupiers' forces. This right is never reported. The Channel 4 reporter referred to an endless war, suggesting equivalence. There is no war. There is resistance among the poorest, most vulnerable people on Earth to an enduring, illegal occupation imposed by the world's fourth largest military power, whose weapons of mass destruction range from cluster bombs to thermonuclear devices, bankrolled by the superpower. In the past 6 years alone, wrote the historian Ellen Papp, Israeli forces have killed more than 4,000 Palestinians, half of them children. Consider how this power works. According to documents obtained by United Press International, the Israelis once secretly funded Hamas as a direct attempt to divide and dilute support for a strong, secular PLO Palestine Liberation Organization by using a competing religious alternative, in the words of a former CIA official. Today, Israel and the US have reversed this ploy and openly back Hamas's rival, Fatah, with bribes of millions of dollars. Israel recently secretly allowed 500 Fatah fighters to cross into Gaza from Egypt, where they had been trained by another American client, the Cairo dictatorship. The Israelis' aim is to undermine the elected Palestinian government and ignite a civil war. They have not quite succeeded. In response, the Palestinians forged a government of national unity, of both Hamas and Fatah. The latest attacks are aimed at destroying this. With Gaza secured in chaos and the West Bank walled in, the Israeli plan, wrote the Palestinian academic Kamber Nabulsi, is a Hobbesian vision of an anarchic society, truncated, violent, powerless, destroyed, cowed, ruled by disparate militias, gangs, religious ideologues and extremists, broken up into ethnic and religious tribalism and co-opted collaborationists. Look to the Iraq of today. On 19th of May, The Guardian received this letter from Omar Jabri al-Sarafah, a Ramallah resident. Land, water and air are under constant sight of a sophisticated military surveillance system that makes Gaza like the Truman Show, he wrote. In this film every Gazan actor has a predefined role and the Israeli army behaves as a director. The Gaza Strip needs to be shown as what it is, an Israeli laboratory backed by the international community where human beings are used as rabbits to test the most dramatic and perverse practices of economic suffocation and starvation. The remarkable Israeli journalist Gideon Levy has described the starvation sweeping Gaza's more than 1.25 million inhabitants and the thousands of wounded, disabled and shell-shocked people unable to receive any treatment. The shadows of human beings roam the ruins. They only know the Israeli army will return and they know what this will mean for them: more imprisonment in their homes for weeks, more death and destruction in monstrous proportions. Whenever I have been in Gaza, I have been consumed by this melancholia, as if I were a trespasser in a secret place of mourning. Skeins of smoke from wood fires hang over the same Mediterranean Sea that free peoples know, but not here. Along beaches that tourists would regard as picturesque trudge the incarcerated of Gaza. Lines of sepia figures become silhouettes, marching at the water's edge, through lapping sewage. The water and power are cut off, yet again, when the generators are bombed, yet again. Iconic murals on walls pockmarked by bullets commemorate the dead, such as the family of 18 men, women and children who clashed with a 500-pound American-Israeli bomb dropped on their block of flats as they slept. Presumably, they were militants. More than 40% of the population of Gaza are children under the age of 15. Reporting on a 4-year field study in occupied Palestine for the British Medical Journal, Dr. Derek Summerfield wrote that 2/3 of the 621 children killed at checkpoints, in the street, on the way to school, in their homes, died from small arms fire, directed in over half of cases to the head, neck and chest, the sniper's wound. A friend of mine with the United Nations calls them children of the dust. Their wonderful childishness, their rowdiness and giggles and charm, belie their nightmare. I met Dr. Khalid Dalan, a psychiatrist who heads one of several children's community health projects in Gaza. He told me about his latest survey. The statistic I personally find unbearable, he said, is that 99.4% of the children we studied suffer trauma. Once you look at the rates of exposure to trauma, you see why. 99.2% of the study group's homes were bombarded, 97.5% were exposed to tear gas, 96.6% witnessed shootings, 95.8% witnessed bombardment and funerals, almost a quarter saw family members injured or killed. He said children as young as 3 faced the dichotomy caused by having to cope with these conditions. They dreamt about becoming doctors and nurses, then this was overtaken by an apocalyptic vision of themselves as the next generation of suicide bombers. They experienced this invariably after an attack by the Israelis. For some boys, their heroes were no longer football players, but a confusion of Palestinian martyrs, and even the enemy, because Israeli soldiers are the strongest and have Apache gunships. Shortly before he died, Edward said bitterly reproached foreign journalists for what he called their destructive role in stripping the context of Palestinian violence, the response of a desperate and horribly oppressed people, and the terrible suffering from which it arises. Just as the invasion of Iraq was a war by media, so the same can be said of the grotesquely one-sided conflict in Palestine. As the pioneering work of the Glasgow University Media Group shows, television viewers are rarely told that the Palestinians are victims of an illegal military occupation. The term, occupied territories, is seldom explained. Only 9% of young people interviewed in the UK know that the Israelis are the occupying force and the illegal settlers are Jewish. Many believe them to be Palestinian. The selective use of language by broadcasters is crucial in maintaining this confusion and ignorance. Words such as terrorism, murder, and savage, cold-blooded killing describe the deaths of Israelis, almost never Palestinians. There are honorable exceptions. The kidnapped BBC reporter Alan Johnston is one of them. Yet, amidst the avalanche of coverage of his abduction, no mention is made of the thousands of Palestinians abducted by Israel, many of whom will not see their families for years. There are no appeals for them. In Jerusalem, the Foreign Press Association documents the shooting and intimidation of its members by Israeli soldiers. In one 8-month period, as many journalists, including the CNN bureau chief in Jerusalem, were wounded by the Israelis, some of them seriously. In each case, the FPA complained. In each case, there was no satisfactory reply. A censorship by omission runs deep in Western journalism on Israel, especially in the US. Hamas is dismissed as a terrorist group sworn to Israel's destruction, and one that refuses to recognize Israel and wants to fight, not talk. This theme suppresses the truth.
Next I'm going to play Bombs Falling, Nowhere to Go. It's by David Archer. And then I'll play the closing.
The bombs came today. It was terrifying. We have nowhere to run. There was an airstrike every 5 minutes. Thick black smoke 50 m away from us. People were scared, ran outside of their houses and gathered together in the street. 350 people in the street. The street was the safest place. If our house is bombed, 300 will get trapped and die like the people we saw on television. It is quiet for 20 minutes now, but we don't know if it will start again. What if it is just a short break? We can't take the risk. My children are shivering. It is getting so cold. Some neighbors went back inside, but they are staying on the first floor. We don't know what will come next. This is the closest it has come to our house. The neighborhood next to ours was bombed. What do? We don't know. We have nowhere to go. Nowhere to go.
Uh-oh.
1, 2, 3. I shot Mr. Lee. 3, 4, 5. I got tired of his job. Whoa, 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 should have never. Whoa, 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 should have never. Whoa, 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 should have never. Oh no. Whoa, 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 should have never. Whoa, 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 should have never. Oh no. Whoa, 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 should have never. Never met a sweetie. You should have never met me. Shouldn't have never met a sweetie. Shouldn't have never met me. Now his memory is down in history. He was a real cool cat and wore a high top hat. He was a real cool cat and wore a high top hat. He was a handsome cat. All the girls loved that. I said, whoa, 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 we should have never.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the show. I want you all to have a good day. I want you to have a good week, good month, and a good year. Most of all, I want you to have a beautiful life. And thank you for being you.